Hello, this is Fredo, and you're watching the second episode of Santa Filomena, which is an archipelago project on which I am working for this second season of City Skylines on this channel. And so, in this episode, I am focusing on developing the modern city center with a bunch of new buildings, mainly residential ones. I believe that there's a point in which I'm gonna buy a second piece of land because we still are on the first one, and the developing idea of this project would be for me to get a new tile at each episode, much more than having financial concerns at the front in the way I process in my process and um, I'm not focusing much on the different problems the citizens might have. I thought that for this season I would focus much more on making the city prettier, uh, focusing on the small details, because as the expression goes, the devil lies in the details, if it's how you actually say that. I think it is, yes. And so, as you can see right now, I'm working on the waterfront of the modern center of the city, and I put these very big rocks into the sea. I thought there would be something to look at rather than just look at the sea when you are on the seaside like this. Then there's also these very beautiful pathways that I found on the workshop that I'm using there. So in this part of the waterfront, I am doing some more residential buildings, but then later I'm gonna put some more squares and parks as well because I want to this neighborhood to be pretty rich, and so I was kind of hesitating between different buildings to put. So I put this one right there to make it more attractive for tourists as well. Then there's this industrial kind of square, kind of like area that I would like to move as well because this is not set to be there indefinitely. And so by buying this new tile, as you just saw, I started to develop a much bigger industrial zone with some brand new factories and lots of places to for the garbage as well, because the garbage takes up quite a lot of energy, space, time, activity in the city. A lot of the notifications I usually get are for garbage, so I decided I would need to put quite a few buildings dedicated to that in the future in this industrial neighborhood. Then, because the city is starting to develop quite a bit, I decided to put the different neighborhoods and different quarters names. As you can see, because I didn't change the language of the game, I kept it in French, the name suggestions that they're giving me are French sounding ones, and I try to turn them into more English sounding ones while still keeping the inspirations from these names. So, as I am building this new industrial zone, you have to know that it's not supposed to remain there for such long time either. for so much of a long time either, because I have planned to put it someplace else once I have acquired more tiles and grown the city more than this. So as you can see now, I'm starting to get rid of this industrial area in the modern town center. I'm using the mode, is it Move It? I think it's Move It, yeah. So I'm getting rid of all of this to put some more residential buildings later on, and some more shops as well. Because as you can see now at the bottom of the screen, the blue bar is getting quite high. The problem that I found with in this episode, and it's actually understandable as natural consequence to this, because there's actually so much going on, so much change, is that really started to have problems with money. I actually even got bailed out at some point, even though I took all the loans possible. And that's when I decided that I need to get rid of this and go for unlimited money mod after this episode, so that I would feel much more freedom in building my city and do whatever I want whenever I want. I've also learned that it can be more interesting and helpful to put one-way streets sometimes, which is something I've not done at all in the previous season of me playing the game. And this actually turns out to be quite helpful now that I've recorded more episodes. It really unclogs all kinds of traffic blockages, which is really cool. So if there's something I would advise, is to really think about using them, the one-way streets. Obviously, because this used to be an industrial quarter, the trees are totally fucked up. But then you'd be surprised about how, well, quickly might be a strong word, but it doesn't take so much time for nature in this game to get back to what it was once you've gotten rid of all the things that might have polluted it. So we see there's no occurrence of this now in this episode, but then later on when I'm developing the city by the little like river you can see on the right of the screen, it's kind of gonna be the same, and it's a great thing to know that it doesn't take forever for a place to start looking good again. I wish I could have avoided doing this on this part of the mountainside, but then because the industrial demand was getting so high, I didn't really know where to put it. As I said earlier, it's not gonna last. It's not gonna stay there for a very long time. I'll probably get rid of it in in very in very soon, like in very few episodes. I don't want this um, hills to be to be to be changed. Like they look very nice, so I don't want these hills to be kind of rotten with the factories. Now I decided it was about time I developed this new area in the city, and so this area is quite like what I did with the modern center, I thought it would be very helpful at first to focus on what would be needed based on what you can see on the bottom of the bars. So there was like a great commercial and industrial demand. So that's how I kind of developed this new place. And then I put quite a few residential blocks as well. But before then, as you can see, we are now like, yeah, we are around the time when the bailout happened. I don't know if I missed it. Yeah, no, no, I think it's about hard to happen now. So yeah, it was like a very annoying moment in me playing the second episode. But then it was very helpful in making me realize I didn't really have to rely on money so much to have a greater and more positive experience of the game. Because this was such a reoccurring annoyance in the first season, I thought let's just get rid of it. But then, to be fully honest, I started looking at some mods that would help me get rid of some very annoying problems. And there's a mod that used to exist and that I used to use a few years ago that seemingly isn't working much anymore, because I just went back to the page and a lot of the most recent comments were saying that it is simply just not working anymore. And it was called, if I remember properly, something like no crime, no abandonment, no something else. It was like 3 or 4 major issues that your city could have, and that this mod could just simply help you get rid of by not letting them happen anymore. So when I remember when I used that, it was very, very helpful and helped you like save quite a lot of time and energy to focus on stuff you might have found more interesting in development of your city. But then, because this is seemingly not working anymore, I have to spend still quite some time on fixing problems. But then at least I know that in the future, with no money barrier, I will at least have some time to focus on the small details that I want to develop my city with, and make it look much prettier than the one I used to work on in the first season. So as you can see, at this point, I was like trying to define the different policies of the different quarters of the city, and based on how I imagined them, obviously, I ticked the different boxes. Um, Obviously, these policies will match the descriptions that I kind of did in the first episode. For example, for when I was talking about the historical center, when I said I didn't want like high buildings in this place, only like parks, small houses, small businesses, stuff like that, then this the policies help you develop some quarters like this, some areas of the city like this. And now I developed the new area a bit more, as you can see, by putting much more factories and some kind of new industrial zone to get rid of this bar that you can see now has gone very low at the bottom of the screen. Then I had to put some more uh, shops as well. But then, just as for the previous industrial zones, the one in the new area is going to be quite short-lived, actually much more than the one in Palisandra that you can see that I did, yeah, there. Palisandra is gonna outlive the new industrial zone that I just put there, because it was basically um, to help, like temporary kind of help, uh, just to make the industrial bar lower. Because then in the new area that I've developed much more now that I've recorded more episode and I'm much a bit not much but a bit further along than this. Um, this is mainly going to become a residential neighborhood and with many more shops as well. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil what I'm going to do in the future episodes, but then just know that this industrial place is not gonna stay like very short lived. As you can see now, I thought it was time for the city to develop the first bus routes, because by now we are over 10,000 people, which is great. In 2 episodes, it's quite a nice development. And so at the moment, I decided I would put 2 bus lines that would kind of go like, well, it's not exactly an X because obviously it's a map of different neighborhoods like a city, and my city is not like a perfect geometric shape, but I wanted, each of the corners of the city to be like reachable by public transport. And because the main connection between these neighborhoods is like this bridge across the rivers, like this, well, there's 2 bridges across the rivers. The traffic is kind of nightmare most of the day, as you might have noticed, and so having bus lines can really help reduce that a lot. The traffic nightmare is the reason why I decided to make this third bridge as well, as you just saw, because it links the industrial part, Palisandra, to the new neighborhood. I thought it would be quite helpful to unclog the bigger bridges between the 2 main centers. As I was talking about earlier, now you can see that the trees that got totally fucked up by the presence of an industrial zone are now uh, much better. It doesn't even look like there used to be factories there anymore. And to cover it up even more, I thought I would add some more trees and work on some more pathways by the waterfront. Putting some night lights along the pathways, I thought would make the place much cuter as well. Can you see, like, there's so much difference between places that have no light at all and then just simply putting these lampposts across a pathway. Only this difference is like kind of incredible. And so it's very small details, but very important details that will help you make your city look much more beautiful than just simply skating by playing the base game. And when I say base game, I'm obviously not talking about like expansion packs or stuff like this, because obviously have none, and I'm thinking about getting those for future episodes. But like the focus on small details is like, yeah, it's like going above. You know what I mean when I say it's going above just playing the base game, because I was, as I was stating in the first episode, a lot of the cities kind of look the same no matter what map you're on, just because it's not so much of like customization that you can see in this game if you don't go over to the workshop and decide I want to have this building, this thing, this and that. So that's the key actually to make your city look unique in this game. And that's how we finish this second episode of Santa Filomena. See you later for the third one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.